All right. It's getting better.
You know what time it is. You know what I'm saying when I say that too, right? You know what time it is.
I'm waiting for the alligator.
You know what I want to say. You know what time it is.
Pimping time. Pimping.
You know we always come a little. You know, yeah. That's it. You know what I'm talking about. CP time, baby.
I roll on that.
You know that.
You know they lied to me.
That's what I'm
It's
talking
like
about.
an hour earlier.
I know. We used to tell you it's funny. My stepfather, we used to go to movies a lot with my mom, like, you know, and we would have to tell him, like, say the movie started at 1 or 2, we tell him the movie was at 11 o'clock because he would get out the door at like 1:45. Like, if the movie's starting in 15 minutes and we live 20 minutes to move there, I'll make it there, don't worry. His whole life he's been doing it. Working for the state. Got to be to work at 4. He don't leave his house. He don't leave the house at 3:45. He live a half an hour from his job. How you getting to work all the time, dude?
With the pedals in the middle.
He's been doing it for 30 years.
Yep, and he's been making it to work.
Like, yo, but I guess because he's just so comfortable. All right, work for you. You know?
Everybody's going to have 3 minutes.
But,
3 minutes.
yeah. I think we're probably going to go 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we'll just get to speak. We'll speak the next one. Back up.
What's this?
Wi-Fi.
That's a hotspot.
Oh.
So we can
They're like hanging out. We got real tech on this.
Yeah, I'm not computer savvy. Like I said, I stay up to gadgets and gadgets. And
I don't think
you know what? It's easy.
tables
I don't do social
Sometimes it's
media
easier
and
that
all
It
that
was
stuff.
a community meeting.
Easier for me just to stay off of it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just noise.
Like, oh,
I
what's
mean,
name?
sometimes it can be useful noise. Sometimes it's just,
I agree.
noise.
Adam, did you post
I always-
anything yet?
So when I leave this job, maybe I'll get on social media. Then I can say what I want without, you know, any repercussions.
Okay.
I didn't have to retire, it won't matter for me.
So as soon as they're done talking.
Now I just avoid it. I don't say nothing, I don't comment on nothing, I don't get on anything. They can't say it. Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah, I don't even know how to do that anymore. I have
Sometimes I
trouble
wish I
looking.
never signed up for that stuff. Like, it's useful.
It is.
But
I mean, because it's just a quick way to connect or find people or whatever.
Yeah,
But
This
it
gentleman
could definitely cause some problems.
Yeah,
David?
exactly.
he just randomly reached out
Let
to
me
me.
turn my phones down before they
Are
run.
we all on silent on this table?
Yeah, that's all I need.
Can this thing hear us?
Yes. That's for sure.
Okay.
Hey, real quick, it's supposed to be like 7.
Oh, this is the third one? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
No, that was true over here. So that was okay. Here.
Okay.
On YouTube. What's the channel on YouTube? You know what?
Yeah. Well, it's being done through Adma Studios.
Adma Studios?
Yeah. But if they're on Facebook,
You're probably
if you
about
go
to
to
start
block
any
at a
moment
time,
now.
they'll just post it. Yeah.
But
Block
they
at
were,
a time.
people were still wandering in.
Yeah, if you go to a block
Danielle's
at a
gonna
time,
get
we'll post it on YouTube.
started any minute.
Okay. All right, whatever. Thank you. All right, I gotta go. Turn my phone off. Okay, block at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. You ready to do this? We'll let people trickle in.
So what's your introduction? You know, with brief introduction.
Introduction is ask people to be respectful, mindful, talk over others, if they have a specific question that they would like you to answer, so let you know that like that answer done, you're going to You know, then you're gonna do an overall summary of it at the first of the meeting, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you for a quick 3 minutes. Yeah.
Take notes, yeah.
And then we'll go to comments.
Okay.
So
Sounds
we're
good.
gonna we're all yours. You guys want to join me for this?
Really yell into that mic.
Okay. You guys want to join me
Yeah.
as co-founders?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we are. We're gonna get started, everyone.
Yeah, so how's your boy doing?
Good.
Okay.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. This is the first of a series of meetings on police interactions with the community. I'm Danielle Hilling. I'm one of the organizers and a co-founder of A Block at a Time. I'm here with Zach Garafalo, who is also an organizer and a co-founder, and Jonathan Capra, also an organizer and a co-founder. So we put this meeting together today to give the public an opportunity to discuss with the police department interactions that the police have with the community. And more specifically, the recent incident that occurred on March 16th. So most of this meeting is going to be an opportunity for members of the public to speak to the police chief. It's going to be an opportunity to bring your concerns, ask questions, and provide solutions and comments to the ongoing issue that we've had. This is one of several incidents that has occurred in the city over the last couple of years. We want to work to make sure that these incidents don't occur again in the future. And the best way to do that is that we all need to be working together. We need to be collaborative. The police are part of both the issues that we've been having and the solutions. So we need to be in partnership with them and make sure they understand what our expectations of the community are. So everyone's we're going to give 3 minutes for speaking. We ask that you stay within your time. We ask that when others are speaking that you allow them to speak. We don't have the upper speakers, so we're running off of the speaker that we do have, so any background noise is going to make it difficult for people to hear. If you have a specific question that you'd like of the chief, please just let him know while you're speaking that you would actually like him to answer it then. At the end, he is going to do a summary of what he's heard from the community and of next steps. And then we're going to have a closing. This is one of 3 meetings. There are 2 more, one on the 7th of May and one on the 20th of May. And we're going to try to continue this conversation, come up with some solutions and some actual implementation of those solutions. So I'm going to see if either of the co-owners want to say anything. No? No? Okay. So I'm going to turn this over to the chief, who's going to give us a brief summary on the issue that brought us here today. And then we're going to go into the public comment period.
All right, thank you, Danielle, Zach, and Jonathan. Good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you this evening. And when I was invited by the group, I thought it was a great idea. The timing was right. There's what I sense in the community, there's some confusion, there's frustration, there's anger, there's a lot of emotions. And so I thought it was a great time to come as a representative of the police department and talk with the members of the community about this issue in particular and about anything else that may be of concern to the members of this community. But to start, and like Danielle said, I'm going to go over just a brief timeline of the incident that brought us here today. And for the most part, I'm going to listen. I think it's very important that the police chief in situations like this listens to what are the concerns of the community. And just as an aside, for the last month or so, I've been having these types of listening sessions with members of the police department. Because before we even go any further here, just like Danielle, police officers, who are very, very conscientious, police officers who are dedicated to serving in this community, police officers who, as I've said before, time and again, have given their lives and their souls to the members of this community. And I think it's very important that we, as we move forward with our conversation, that we understand that the overwhelming majority of your police officers are out here doing the right things for the right reasons, their heart is in the right place. And I commend those men and women who are out there doing those things. And so for the last month or so, I've been having these listening sessions with members of the police department. Because just like there is frustration and emotions within our community, there are those same emotions within the police department. The police department is an organization of 500 plus people who have seen that they have had one of their own that has been arrested. They've seen two others who are under suspension. They see how the community feels about the police department. And when you're dealing with people in an organization, it impacts those people as well. So I've been having that conversation with men and women in the Albany Police Department, and I'm looking forward to having that same conversation with members of the community. But first, before we get into the comment portion from you all, I just want to give a brief timeline of the incident as it occurred. And the incident was brought to my attention on Saturday, March 16th. And that's when I was forwarded a Facebook link to a video that was purported to be some sort of excessive force involving some officers. At that time, that Saturday evening, I did not have the capabilities of opening that link. I don't know if the link was corrupted or whatever the situation was, but the link was not able to be reviewed until that Monday, which would have been March 18th. So we reviewed the link. We saw that there was at least the appearance of some improprieties. And so we pulled the body-worn camera footage from all of the officers who were on the scene at that time. And so that went on for Monday afternoon, going into Tuesday, and into the evening Tuesday. Hundreds of hours worth of video footage had to be reviewed. And it was at that time that we saw that there were some issues. And that following morning is when the officer was suspended without pay and taken off the road. And an internal investigation and a parallel criminal investigation at that point were both launched. And it's important to, at this point, to understand that by this point, we had not had any formal complaint about this incident. We had no idea who the victims were. We had no idea who was involved in this incident. We knew where it occurred, but there was no formal citizens complaint at this point. So all of the action that was taken up to this point was taken without any trigger from any citizen complaint. And so that investigation went on for about a week and a half or so, interviewing officers, reviewing more body-worn video camera footage, and reviewing written statements. And on Tuesday, April 2nd, is when the decision was made to arrest one of the officers that was involved in this incident. And again, it's important to know that still no formal citizens complaint at all had been received by the police department at this time. And at the same time, two other officers that were involved in this incident were placed on suspension without pay. And they all remain on that status right now. So right now, the case is with the district attorney's office, and the district attorney's office is reviewing this case for criminal culpability. We're unsure of the timeline on that. I anticipate that it shouldn't be much longer for the district attorney's office to finish that review of the case. And we still are finishing the last pieces of the internal investigation involving all of the officers who were at the scene of the incident. So beyond that, because of pending criminal case with this incident, that's all I can comment on right now regarding that case. And I look forward to hearing comments and concerns from members of the community. Thank you.
So again, if anybody wants to sign up, please make sure that you do up front. Our first speaker is Regina Du, and she's followed by Mohammed Abdullah. So just be in the queue for when she's done.
Good evening. My name is Regina Du. I'm a resident of North Albany. I've spoken to you before, and you are helping. You are hiring a neighbor of mine, and I'm very grateful. He will be trained as a police officer. But I am speaking about a number of years ago, Barbara Smith, when she was a common council member, had to be investigating community policing. And I did the initial research on that, and we instigated that here in Albany, so we would not have an invading force in our community. We wanted community policing. And I am not addressing that specific issue. What I witnessed last week, I was going to ShopRite, and I was going up 3rd Avenue, and there was an older gentleman on Livingston Avenue, hog tied, and he looked like an older gentleman, and I was horrified. I know people were filming that, but I said, why is this man being hog tied? I've been looking at the bookings, and they are not showing up, and I don't know why. I go to the Albany police bookings, and they are not telling me why that man was arrested and why he was being treated like that. There were people all around him, cars coming around, and it just looked like an invading force to me. It did not look like community policing. I don't know if we have rogue officers doing their own thing. I don't know, but I was shocked and horrified, and I thought I should bring that to your attention. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
So just before you speak, if you could just try to speak up. We're sorry about the fact that it's not the greatest sound in here, but we didn't end up getting access to the above speakers. So if whoever's speaking, if you could just speak a little bit louder, please.
My name is Mohammed Abdullah. I'm from the Pine Hill area. My concern was it used to be serve and protect, and mostly it was written on mostly the police car and everything. And I see that, we all see that that language has got away from most of the mentality of some of the officers. I just wanted to know basically what gives the right to the police to think they can beat us, beat people, and I know basically in the training, I don't think they really taught that when I see them. Also too, I know, Chief, that we interviewed you, and I liked everything basically that you said and everything, and I just want to let you know that we're basically going to give you our support and definitely what you're doing in the community. Also too. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Now this is for the community and everything too, that we also have to do our part to help our community become better. As the way I was coming here, I was seeing my young brothers out here on Clinton Avenue selling the papers, and I just couldn't get it out of my head how good these brothers look. And I just want to thank them very much for what they're doing in the community, the Nation of Islam, and what they plan on doing in the community. And our Imam also is planning on getting with the Nation of Islam to go into communities and talk to the kids and try to plant some seeds in the kids about drugs, playing around, and also to see if we can basically help in the community. And I like to hope that when we do start this, others can take a hit to follow us to help our community get better. Thank you.
Marlon?
Check 1 2, check 1 2. My name is Marlon Anderson, longtime community advocate for the West Hill and Arbor Hill sections of the city of Albany, former mayoral candidate in the city of Albany, and current resident of Center Square. First things first, I want to say thank you to the chief for stepping forward. You're in the eye of the storm, but as I say, keep calm and show leadership to give the direction that these issues in this community needs. One of the reasons that I supported your nomination and appointment was because we needed outside eyes in this community to deal with what we are dealing with. Right. And what we are dealing with is a status quo issue. And that has been the main issue and problem when it comes to police-community relations. It is status quo in the police department that force is a means to an end when dealing with the community of color. And my question to you, and what I would like answered, I'm sure what the entire public would like answered, is what is your agenda as someone coming from the outside of the status quo in the city of Albany and the status quo of the police department? What is going to be your agenda to dealing with the status quo that condones and creates these violent situations? Because again, as you know, when you came into a violent situation. We've had people lose their lives to excessive force. We've had people get crippled by excessive force. We have a long history in this city of excessive force being an acceptable means to an end. And it is something that is, how should we say, the word escapes me, is something that's insinuated into the methodology of policing in the city of Albany. And it has to be somehow conveyed, and I'm hoping that you're the man to do it. It has to be somehow conveyed to the rank and file in the city. Because we've had dealings, I've dealt now with almost 4 police chiefs to deal with this issue. But I would like to hear, and I'm sure the public would like to hear, what is your agenda with dealing with the status quo of policing in this city and changing that status quo? And secondly, I would certainly, and the public would certainly like to see more officers of color stepping up and speaking out about that issue, because their voice has not been heard. Black police were created to advocate for Black people. And we have not heard any advocation from Black police for Black people. And I would like you to advance that agenda, put the Black officers forward to the community to put their voices out there to be heard. Again, I want to thank you, Chief, for coming forward, and please keep up the good work.
Oh, no. Chief, you want to answer that in line, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, I did want to answer for that.
You want to write?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And very simply for me, it's number one, supporting. You have to support the officers in this department who are doing the right things for the right reasons. And I keep going back to this, supporting our police officers is, we can do that and still condemn bad behavior. So number one, I have to make sure I give these police departments in this department that are committed to serving this community the tools that they need, the training they need, the resources they need to serve in the right way. But also, when we see conduct that is unacceptable, then we must take action. We must be swift and we must be certain with the actions that we take. And if we have officers who are violating the law, then we have to hold those officers accountable. And I think that that I've shown that that is going to happen. I've demonstrated that. And I think the message is being sent, certainly. But and I keep coming back to this, we still must support those officers who are out there, who are putting their lives on the line every day, doing the right things for the right reasons. And we don't want to indict an entire police department over the actions of one or two or a few.
Right.
But certainly, we have to hold officers accountable who are engaged in conduct that is unacceptable or conduct that is unlawful. I'm sorry, is this mic, am I projecting with this thing?
No, you gotta turn
You
it up.
get a little closer to it. Sorry,
Turn the speaker up.
it's all the way up, unfortunately.
Check.
Check.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Test. It's better?
Hello, everybody. My name is Victoria. I'm a little nervous. I don't even know what really to speak about in my 3 minutes. I was going to discuss the fact would like to know more about internal affairs and how you deal with them and the whole police system. Because 9 years ago, I was beat real bad by the police. They put me in 6-month-old handcuffs. I still got the mark right here. My dad, let me go back. My dad was born in 1929, my mom in 1942. My dad lived through the segregation and the civil rights era. So he always tell me, the police do not mess with them. But me, growing up in a different era, I don't care. I done yelled at the judge, got 30 days with him, fussed with police officers, because you do have some wrong ones, but you also do have some good ones. The ones that helped me out of things that I got in trouble about, but then you had some, I got a bad record because the system done railroaded me. I've been looking into for years, how can I get my record straightened out behind the police just making out false allegations? That's another question I don't know how to ask. How do you look into them making false reports and just doing what they want? I went to internal affairs, and that's why I asked, what job does internal affairs do in protecting us? Because my dad told me, do not go. But I went and talked to somebody in internal affairs. It took them to take pictures of my back and stuff, but nothing was done to this effect. And I feel I'm a loud one. Everybody that know me know that I fight justice. I don't care what the police and the system say. I'm gonna vent my voice. And I was venting back then, but nothing was done for me. And I was, can you go back 9 years and look into the files of my case and see if some of those officers are still on there? Because that could, a chain reaction, and this is why things is prolonging. But I believe that we do have good police officers, and we should start working alongside the ones that are good to us and try to turn in the ones that we need off the system. Because like you said, he can't get rid of the whole force, but maybe he can start evaluating and doing something about it.
Right.
And I thank you.
We're just gonna take like 2 seconds just to hook that up, so that you guys can actually hear the chief. Again, we apologize, we didn't have access, but we'll try to correct that for the next meeting for sure.
So that means nobody heard anything I said?
They did, but they just didn't hear it as well as we could have. We'll get it together. The next person is going to be Liston Cyrus.
Good afternoon. I'd like to list this as I'm the president of the Albany chapter of NAACP. And I would like to sort of take this as a more of a holistic look. I would like to sort of discuss the good and things to work on. So from a positive perspective, the fact that you're actually sitting there engaging in this conversation for the community, that's progress. The fact that there were cameras that were available so the community can see what we've always suspected, that's progress, although there are some challenges with the cameras. So the fact that this community have been engaged enough to have you come there, of course you willingly want to do, but you know it's the right thing to do because you know the community was mandated of you. The community has made progress in its drive to hold others accountable. So those are very progressive moves. You mentioned you are part of this community. We need to continue that growth. But we must address the matter at hand, right? And I think we're all looking at the actions we saw when the gentlemen and the members were attacked. I think what we're missing is the initiation of that progress. There is one of the core foundations in the Constitution in this country is a man's right to be safe in his house, right? What was the constitutional right? What was the thing to even engage this person in their home to begin with? I stop and I imagine myself in my house, and all of a sudden my door is being kicked in as a starting. That's a terrorizing concept. So before we get there, we need to get back. What was your right to enter that home to begin with? So first one. Then as I looked at that video, I was not, you know what I thought to myself? I thought to myself, that officer that was doing this, he could not have been looking at a human being at the other side of his actions. You could not have been looking at a person, the level of violence, the level of vitriol, the level of force that was impacted. That baton, I felt one of those things. Those things are meant and designed for a lot of impact. How can you sit there and watch your gentleman swing with that level of force from a young man who's obviously knows the law well enough? Because as I think of myself, it's human nature, it's instinctive that when someone come at you, you defend yourself. That young man was so disciplined that he evaded human instinct to put his hand up, to push back the hook. He pushed his hand up. That is not easy to do. That is a level of training or fear because you know what is on the other hand of this. If you even, that is I don't even know how you're able to do that. So that is miraculous. But then I heard something very interesting today. And Chief, you know, I'm a biggest fan of you and I'm going to continue. But like I said, I took the job of the NAACP for holding people accountable, and that's what we're doing here. That's right. And I heard comments that the citizens didn't complain. We hadn't received a complaint. There were 12 citizens there who claimed they are there to protect us. They saw a crime because what I saw was a crime. Right. It should not have come to you through social media that this happened. I work in corporate America. I have 50 people working for me. I have terminated people not for executing an action, but seeing it and doing nothing. So we should not be talking about one or two. We should be talking of the individuals whose job it is to stop, prevent crime, who stopped, looked at a crime, a violent crime, and did not call you, did not report it. And if no one would have reported it, this would not have happened. There's not one or two people that should be held accountable. It's the entire group that saw that
crime. And thank you for the comments. And I just want to respond to a couple of them that you mentioned there. And so, first of all, going back to the last comment you made about the officers not reporting, I'm terribly concerned about that piece also. And so when I say that there was no citizens complaint, I didn't say it in the context that related to officers. The context I was saying that in is that usually in cases like this, in a lot of police departments across America, you won't see an internal police investigation. You won't see an officer being held criminally culpable unless there's some formal complaint made. Because there's a sense in some places that if there's no complaint, then there's no reason to take any action. And so I say, and I know that where you're coming from with this, but when I say that there was no citizens complaint, I say that merely in the context of saying that we took action here without any trigger from anybody else in the community. We understood that there was something that was wrong, and action needed to be made. And so,
Hold on. Can you please allow him to speak?
So anyway, we took action is the point I was trying to make with that. And absolutely a concern of mine was, did the other officers that were on scene comply with their duties and their responsibilities as police officers? And that's something that we're looking into right now. So thank you.
The next speaker is Anthony Mohammed.
If you don't mind, I'm going to stand up. First of all,
Just speak right into that mic.
Yeah, my name is Anthony Mohammed. I'm the Albany, New York representative of the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan. And just to go back on your last statement, yes.
There we go.
Just to go back into your last statement in regards to no persons filing a complaint, I want you to specifically answer at some point, do you believe at this point that it was only one officer that committed a crime at that scene? Because 2 were suspended, and we're hearing that 11 or 12 responded. And so another thing we want to know is, does the supervisor, when he comes out to a crime scene, do he approve the arrest report and consult with the arresting officers? Did only Officer Deere, it was 3 victims. We want to know the names of each one that signed a police report, because we have video now, and if the video is contradictory to the 3 reports, then that's a crime in and of itself. So we want to know that. So if, once again, based on, and what's taking so long to, if you're saying that there is ongoing investigation, what's taking you so long, or the department so long, to come to a conclusion? And we have video, it's not a whole bunch of video, but we have video there. What's taking us so long? And do we believe that only 3 officers were involved in criminal activity at the scene of that crime? Because the video, which is what caused the investigation to move forward. So if the supervisor responded, if all of the officers knew what took place, and I've been living here for 54 years, and so this information in regard to your command staff keeping this away. So like that video, those 3 persons that are still living, they will be on their way to prison based on a false report. And I'll say this, you got a big job. You have a big job because you have a police force that if 11 officers respond, and if we take a sampling and they didn't do their job, and the ones that did not do their job in regards to reporting, all of them is complacent or complicit in the crime that took place. So that's a sample of the police department. We want to know where is the good officers at? If 11 of them is so damn good, we want to know where the good is. And another thing, have you looked into any of the body cam footage of those particular officers? Have you looked into the body cam footage of those particular officers' past experience to find out, do they always do this? I was timing myself. I got 35 seconds left. You got a clock over there?
On 3 minutes?
It was 3 minutes?
3 minutes.
Hopefully somebody else will come up here and act. We don't want to go into the community on drugs and stuff. We want to deal with this particular incident that's taking place. And I'll say this. I just got a letter from Tracy Grady. And it's a shame. It's a shame because his story that he said that he was being beat. And he protected himself. But there was no video camera. That's a shame. I belong to the Albany African American Clergy United for Empowerment. The day after Tracy Grady was beat, the Albany Police Department terrorized the black community, ran up in people's houses. They have no respect. We need to do our history. They ran up in a live church service, arrested, went to the pulpit. You have a big job ahead of you, sir. And let me say this. We need more arrests in this case.
Thank you, sir. And just a couple of points that you brought up, I just want to respond to. First of all, there are 3 suspended. 3 officers suspended, 1 arrested. And the entire case involving all of the officers involved is being reviewed by the district attorney's office. And so it's,
The district attorney don't bring criminal charges. The police department do. Are you going to arrest the other officers?
that's not, sir, that perspective is not right.
All right.
Okay. This case, the criminal culpability of every officer involved in that scene is being reviewed by the district attorney's office.
So the district attorney arrested Deere? Who arrested Deere?
And so supervisor responsibility that you're talking about. Yeah, of course, we're looking at that. That's a major part of our review of the administrative piece of with the officers that were involved there. The length of the internal police, the internal investigation. Right now, we're waiting for, we're pretty much finished with our internal investigation in terms of the administrative charges that may or may not apply to officers that were involved here. But we need to wait to see the results of the district attorney's investigation, so to make sure that there aren't any other aspects of this that we need to consider in our internal investigation. So we're keeping that piece open.
Hold on, excuse me.
And in terms of,
If you're signed up to speak.
and in terms of past body worn camera footage, yes, we are reviewing other body worn camera footage from previous incidents from officers. And lastly, you talk about where the good officers were. Well, sir, there are quite a few of good officers that we have here. We got one sitting to my right. We've got others that are here. You know, so we have those there. And I think, and I keep going back to this. I've demonstrated that I will hold my officers accountable. I've had more suspensions of officers in my 6 months here than I had in 6 years in the other place I came from. I hold officers responsible. But sir, it's very, very important that we don't indict an entire police department. And I understand, I understand, sir, but I just need to get this out. I hold officers accountable, but I support those officers who are out there protecting and serving us. It sounds like a cliche, but we've got officers who are out there doing the right things for the right reasons. When we call because there's an emergency and we can't handle those things, or somebody that you love or somebody that you're friends with call, and they're calling 911, you got these officers, the good officers, who are coming, and they're coming to serve our community. So I hold my officers accountable. I support those officers who are out there doing the right things for the right reasons.
All right, the next speaker, and again, if we could please, it's not easy to hear what's being said when we're talking over each other. So if you have a question, if you want to go back and ask a second one, you can always sign up to talk again, but please let's try to make it so everybody can hear. So the next speaker is Charles Robinson.
Yes. Test, 1, 2, 1, 2, test. Chief, let me give you a little quick history of Albany County. Since my family, along with 25 other families was here first. We was one of the first 26 tribes that were here first before the white man came here. You can do the history. Check this history. This history is real deep because it's real. You know, I'm here to reveal it today so I can explain to you how we got here today, right? I'm one of the first 26 tribes that was here first, right? Before they got here, right? 1815, we combined with a church, Methodist church. They treated us, you know, dirty. They freed the first man, the first nigga in New York State in 1827. Right, let me tell you how deep Albany is. Albany, the hanging elm tree. Albany is the first place where a black man got hanged on the shores of America. Albany is the reason why they find in public schools all across America. They don't want you to know the truth about Albany. The first printing press was made where? Albany. Webster's Dictionary, where? Albany. Almanac, where? Albany. And the greatest invention of all, electricity. They told you Benjamin Franklin did it. Albany. Stolen from us. Check the 1790 census. Pirates Robinson. The first cop that ever get killed in Albany, what was his last name? 57. Robinson. My family was here from the beginning. This is a plantation without representation. This is the only city of this size with a black population of this size that hasn't had a black mayor. Every black person in position that's been hired on this black plantation came from someplace else. Like you, David Soros, the lady that run Board of Education, everybody black. You see it? By design, to keep us in check. You know, what happened is systemic. Them cops, any cop whose grandfather was a cop is still on the force in 2019, I'm sorry, he gotta go. He gotta go, Chief, because it's systemic. He learned from his grandfather. His grandfather was a cop, his father was a cop, now he's a cop. He's doing the same thing his grandfather did, punishing us. They just got caught this time. Chief, please. This is a plantation. We had no representation for a long time. We got robbed. We get robbed. They take things out of our pocket. We sweat for our equity, and they take it from us. Thank you.
Amy Jones, next speaker. Yep.
Hi.
Gotta speak up. I know you can. I know we can all hear you. There you go. You got lots of lungs
So
there.
my name is Amy Jones. I live and I work in the city of Albany. I live in the South End. I've been a public servant. I worked for the city of Albany. I worked for your department under the previous chief on the group violence elimination grant, being an outreach worker, and what they call the voice of redemption. I've been arrested 23 times. I did on and off 15 years in prison in our county jail. And I came home and I did a reentry that stuck, and I didn't end up going back to prison. So the powers that be said, when you go, kind of talk and work in the community and tell them that, there's a different way to live. And I said, absolutely, because, I love being on this side of things and being with my family now and being with my children. That being said, I rode along for a year and a half with your enhanced supervision unit. And then I worked at the Center for Law and Justice. When that grant was over, I worked at the Center for Law and Justice on your law enforcement on the LEAD program. And I did outreach for the LEAD program. I've met your officers, I rode along with your officers. I've had lunch with your officers. I understand full well the culture, and we talked about Black Lives Matter, and on our lunches, and we talked about our humanity as a race, as a Black race. We talked about our humanity. I talked with Black officers, I talked with white officers, because I wanted us to understand how nuanced the conversation is. For the rest of my time here in Albany, I've done reentry work, 15 years of it, where I've dedicated myself to our community and helping people come back from periods of incarceration and get jobs and navigate parole. I also want to share with you another part of my life, which is I'm a wife and I'm married. And for the first 5 years of the 10 years we've been together, my husband wouldn't drive. He had a driver's license, but he wouldn't drive. And I'm gonna take more than 30 seconds. My husband wouldn't drive. And I didn't understand it, but I also didn't question it because he's very stoic man. And I just did the driving. And then we got 2 cars and he began driving. When he began driving, he wouldn't take his work uniform off. And I never understood why he wouldn't take his work uniform off. And the reason my husband hasn't taken his work uniform off in 5 years is because he wants to be alive when he drives to Muskegon to work. And he wants to be alive when he drives home from Muskegon back to the south end of Albany where we live. My husband is deathly afraid of being killed when he drives to work to Muskegon and drives home in the evening to his home. Even while I'm working for the police department, my own husband is afraid of being killed by the police. You would have to be living under a rock, Chief. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You would have to be living under a rock to understand, to not understand that this is systemic, it is endemic, it is intrinsic in our police department across this country. What we saw on that body cam was a snapshot. I will say that this is the first time since I've lived in Albany that I've seen a police officer get arrested for this sort of thing. And I am glad that you took that stand. I am. But I can't make my husband unafraid. I can't. But I want you to know that you have the power in the small microcosm of our world, that you have the power to change the dominant narrative. Where you sit right now, you have the power. You have the power to move the needle and do it in a radical way. It was radical the way Luke Deere beat that young man. It was radical the way he beat him. I need you to be radical as our police chief, who we trust, who you say you are in charge of public safety. You are in charge of our safety. And I know it is demonstrated to us because you arrested Luke Deere, and it's demonstrated to us that you take that very seriously. And I just hope that you continue to take it more seriously and understand that, our humanity is at stake.
Thank you.
Hold on 1 second. I don't know if you want to respond to any of that. Your name? You have to speak up into the mic.
My name is Shatisha Sims. I guess what I want to say here today, as a black woman of this community, I've been here for 35 years, and I've done my share of dirt that's neither here or there, right? What I want to say is that there's a whole lot of fear in my community, right? When we come outside our door, step every day, we battle with two forces, the black force, the police force, and the white force. So it's actually three forces that we fight in every day. And the real change, like my comrade said, starts with you. Real change, it doesn't take one example, because one example is good, but we need more examples to follow up with what's going on. We don't need one example to make it look good, because we know we done dirt, so we gotta get you out of here, because this is what it is, and the community is speaking up and speaking out. And I just don't understand, when you want to be a police officer, you're here to be a peace officer. You're here to be a peace officer, not a mommy, a daddy. I want to abuse you. Why y'all want to beat on us? We're not here to be beat on. We do want justice for the injustice done in our community, because I too suffered a beating in Manans, New York, where I didn't see it coming. He grabbed my hair up and beat me and kicked me. I never even been kicked like that before my life, right? So now what I want to say to the police officers, because they're all good police officers, and we need y'all to show up, speak up, and show up and be on the front line for y'all people, because this is y'all community too, and far too often y'all forget where y'all come from. Y'all forget where y'all come from, and y'all got a voice too. And the real change starts with every last single one of us in here. We know what we don't do is right? And just because I look the way that I look, I'm a bad girl, right? When it's people that look like him, that's doing work, right? So don't paint me to be an animal. We're not animals, right? But we're angry, right? And y'all know why we angry? Do y'all know why we angry? Do y'all know why we angry? Y'all don't know that, right? Well, walk these streets with us. And I'm a peacemaker. So let me walk with your officers. Let me walk with your officers, because I'm a peacemaker. So my job as a peacemaker, I can show you how to strategize and basically de-escalate. Because when you approach my people, I don't know why you angry, why you got an attitude. Because I understand we dealing with real mental health problems. I don't care what job you signed up for, you got mental health problems. And we need to handle it, right? And we can't handle it with people, the higher ups, just overlooking things, right? Because y'all make money over it. And I was a girl who traveled this road since 9 years old. The sheriff department know me very well as a little girl, right? Very well. And this is my city, right? And I wrote this song called Put the Guns Down. And I want y'all to get familiar with that song one day, right? Because that's my dream for all of y'all to put the guns down. My community and the police officers. And the police officers. And the police officers. This could be your family too. If we was policing your community, we wouldn't want to kill. We wouldn't want to kill y'all. Your job is to serve my community. If you can't serve my community, then community, get your lazy asses up and police your own community. Simple mathematics.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna hope that we're gonna get through everybody that's still waiting. Like I'm gonna ask that you guys please, we have to keep it to the 3 minutes. I hate to cut people off in the middle of their thought, but in order for everybody to have the opportunity who signed up to speak, I'm going to need to ask you guys to be respectful to the time limit. So the next person is, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to mispronounce this, Tisha Lewis. I don't think I said that right.
Excuse my ignorance. Y'all can hear me?
Wrong mic, the other one.
Hi.
Put it right up.
Yep, there you go.
So listen, my name is Keisha Lewis. I report for Virginia. And I have a couple of questions. I want to know why, if we're having a community meeting to fix the problem with our officers, why only 2 Black officers? They don't feel or understand what we're talking about, they sit behind us. They don't see our faces, they don't know our emotions, they don't know what's going on. At the end of the day, when y'all are not at work, y'all are citizens just like us. I have a job. So when I go home, I'm a regular citizen. My mom, I'm a regular human being that walks the street. Have y'all ever taken your badges off, put on a pair of sweatpants, a white t-shirt, a hat, and walk through the city of Albany? Never. Never. I ask that question, and I say those things because I come from Detroit, New York. I went to Lansingburg High, and I graduated with class of 2010. I walked the streets of Troy with my officers. I worked at a camp with those officers. Those same officers are the ones that if I went and filed a complaint, they would call me and show up at my door. This community is afraid because y'all don't do that. Y'all don't know us. You don't know me. How many white people y'all got sitting in the crowd that actually come to our community and get to know us? They don't know that. That night, when my brother came to make sure I was okay, they became angry and upset like he didn't have the right to speak. And that's wrong. That is, he has every right to speak. He has kids in this community. He worked in this community. He walks the streets of this community. He was raised here. This is his community. Half your officers don't even live here. Indeed, exactly. I moved from a whole different other community and came here. And I'm a part of this community. I'm being treated like I don't belong. But my address here, they live in Bethlehem, Voorheesville, Ironville, places where they people dying up for drugs and stuff. They ain't controlling it out there. They're like, what's going on? But all of this shit is back. And as much work as you're doing, as hard as you're trying, to try is to fail. Put that excessive force behind these men and these women behind the desk down here. Telling us we're sad, that we're angry, that we don't have no rights. Our rights is our community. It's ours. They don't belong to us. We do. Exactly.
Our next speaker is Gloria Sanford.
No, Daniel.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Sorry, so the officers that are sitting in the back, everybody wasn't to sit up front, so these are actually NEU officers. They're NEU officers. They're part of, can you please be respectful and let me speak? Thank you.
You want to grab the mic?
I'm probably louder than the mic is. The officers that are here are actually officers from our NEU unit. I specifically asked for not a large police presence. I wanted people to feel comfortable. I know there was concerns about people feeling intimidated coming out here. So they're just in the back because they're here, they're observing, they're getting to watch this, but at this point they're just yes. you guys are welcome to come up here if you want. I'm not gonna say you have to, but you guys are more than welcome to come up front. That means, we want to make sure that we're responsive to what's going on. You want to slide another seat over? Thank you, guys. Grab that one or that one. We got seats here. Oh, he's gonna bring you another one. I don't know. That one's a little sketchy. Don't sit on that one. Here's one. All right, I'm sorry. We're going to continue now.
Okay, hi, Officer Wolfgang.
You got it a little closer, please.
Hello, Officer Wolfgang. My name is Ms. Stanford. I'm here with my mother, Sandra Thompson, and my cousin, Juanita. I'm here because I have
You got to go a little louder. I'm sorry.
So I'm more concerned with the policies and procedures. Yes, you did fire one of the officers, Officer Deere, and the other two are suspended. But I feel that's not enough. I feel as though you are the chief of police. You are trying to show some accountability, and we're here about accountability. So when we talk about accountability, every officer that was in that incident should have been at least suspended or fired. The three that are suspended should be at least fired as well. And I want to talk about policy as to I read something with the Open Police Union. And I don't see how is it that a person who's fired is still obtaining pension and things of that nature. That's unacceptable. I feel it's unacceptable. I don't care if it's been on the force for 15 years.
You're gonna have to speak up a little. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Or it was on the force for 15 years and you're a veteran for this and that and the other. When you commit an act of crime like that, you deserve to lose everything. They cannot come into our communities and treat us as less than or unhuman. We are civilized people and we have rights. And what they display was a criminal act. So, and with that being said, you did fire one, and then you turn around and say, the conviction is up to the district attorneys. But the district attorneys only going to enforce and hold stick to the charges from the police force. So with that being said, how are we going to make that officer accountable, the other officer, the supervising officer who made the report on him to get fired? Who's going to hold that supervising officer accountable for getting that information to the district attorney so that district attorney can make their job? Hopefully they can make their job because nobody in this particular case should not have to get a lawyer to pursue that because the district attorney is supposed to execute the rights of the people, and we are the people, okay? So how is that going to turn out? As far as other officers being suspended with pay, I feel as though that is incorrect. I mean, they should have been fired as well because they're an accessory to the crime. Every officer stood here and allowed him to do that. Not one officer pulled him off, okay? If we have good officers, they have to be accountable as well, and being accountable to being good officers and displaying that as well against their fellow officers who are doing wrong. In order for us to become a community, yes, we do need our officers to police the communities and do get to know our communities, but the problem lies where it was shown. As the young lady who was just here, as she just explained, when these officers see our Black men, they do fear them and they want to use force to belittle them, and that is not right. I've been here for about 23, 24 years. I am a woman of color and I am a mom. I have no fear of the police. I live in the South End, but I say whole Albany is my community. I'm all over the place. I'm uptown, I'm downtown, I'm crosstown, I'm around town because I'm a lovable person. I love everybody and everybody knows me. I don't have interactions with the police. I speak, I say hi, do things of that nature, but in my South End community, I don't see any officers stop and saying hi to kids. We have a program down here, the Base 4th Field American League. No officer ever been down to that little league since my kids been playing down there for 3 years. They come once a year, Mayor Sheen, whatever mayor's in office wants to come down once a year to do a walk. Where are y'all every day at these games? Where are y'all doing y'all 20 hours of community service to the community? They ride past, do nothing. But as far as what happened to my brother, I want your officers, the supervising officer, to be held accountable to get that information over to the district attorney, and the district attorney, David Soares, or whoever's on the case. David Ross is the assistant attorney on the case, so they need to be held accountable to execute that man so he can go to jail. If you want to set an example for the police officers and turn these things around in this community, you have to make an example out of each and every person. And you can do that. And the community will be behind you. Will be behind you. And there are many more young men out here and women that will be willing to be police officers. Okay, so you can lose a few and gain many in order to make a community much better than it is.
Thank you. Hi.
You have to speak up a little. You have to closer.
I'm on Los Angeles now. And I know you have. I could not watch that anymore. My thing is the way Luke did with my son and his fellow officer, because when you hear the officer say, dear, chill out, man, chill out. You hear officers saying, yeah, man, I lost it. If they ever get drug tested, because they came out on that night, they came out to do what they did to my son and 2 other young men. You, as they supreme officer there, you said you backed those officers up. How you back them up with stuff like this? There's no way you could back your officers with that. With that being said, y'all keep saying you're changing the police system. Nothing being changed. Only way anything will be changed is when they go to jail. We want jail time now. Because my son went to jail that night. They pressed charges on my son that night. They denied my son's medical that night. And I stand here in front of you. More than this, what they got have to be more than what they're gonna need to be getting. All officers that was on scene that night need to suffer consequences. All of us need to go to jail. We want jail time now. I hope you do the right thing. I just hope you do the right thing. Because I deal with my son every day. I feel my pain. Please just do the right thing. And like I said, I'm a child of God. My children, I've been here since '89. I had 10 grandchildren, grandson, and I do not want these type of officers on scene in the near future, because they could never work in this force again. They need to be fired from this type of law.
Thank you.
I don't know what her name is.
Hello, my name is Juanita Dowd.
Hi.
I'm Armando Sanchez cousin, but he actually calls me auntie. The first time I seen the film, I actually didn't know. I just was on Facebook, like I said, found out. And I didn't even know that was my cousin, to be honest. It happened so quick, so I had to view the camera again to see the footage again. And then when I realized that it was my cousin, I was like, wow, this is strange. So I viewed it again. I wanted to see where he did anything wrong to get this type of, behavior, and the other guys too. And I said, I have 2 sons that I tell every day, go outside, make sure you have your ID on you, the officer pulls you over, make sure you comply, he tells you stop, hands up, you do exactly what he tells you to do. In this video, I see that. They come out, puts up his hands, but still was brutally beaten. So how do you tell your children you're gonna be safe if you do what the officers tell you to do? But when they do it, they still do it. Almost sometimes to death, sometimes to death, sometimes when they're crippled. How do we fix it? Because I know I tell my boys every day, please comply with the police service. But I see that video of my own family doing such and still got beat up like that. And then we have the officers that were there and did absolutely nothing. Maybe one did, maybe the others did try, but there was a number of them that did not. And I just want to know, what if you didn't get that video on Facebook? How would this be? They would be in jail, right? And you say nobody said anything, but then think about why no one said anything. Why no one wants to report anything? Why? Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say, I really know that you can house.
The next speaker is Mert Simpson. I need to run to my car real quick.
Okay, my name is Merton Simpson, and I'm the Albany County Legislator for the 2nd District, which we're in now. 2nd District is Parker Hill, Sheridan Hollow, West Hill, and Washington Park. And I just want to say, as a Black man, I can't imagine the struggles that the chief has historically had to go through to be in the position that he's in now. And I also think that, having viewed the video of the March 16th issue, I have to believe that there are several officers on the force who are not happy to see a Black chief of police. But having said that, Brother Aaron Carter called me on April 4th and said, we're going to have a community meeting on the March 16th issue. My wife is in Atlantic City. I called, I said, we got a meeting Monday we got to go to. I spent the whole weekend reviewing the tape to try to make sense out of it, because it just didn't make sense. I want to share with you my background. From 1980 to 2001, I was the chief investigator for discrimination complaints for the New York Department of Civil Service. I'm also a trained EEOC mediator. I've been trained by the Office of Federal Contract Compliance in investigating discrimination complaints. And so when I look at that video, I can't make sense out of it. I can't make sense out of the reporting that says there were some 70 prior nuisance complaints, and none of the administrative remedies were used to address those. And I want to do a quick segue too. In my observation, I see that there really is a kind of divide in the Albany police force. I've had personal experience with the officers who work in the community, and they're very good. But those 11 officers who are on the scene, from a statistical point of view, point out that there have to be some very difficult organizational problems. The police came on the scene for a noise ordinance violation and came with bad intentions. For a noise violation, there was no reason to open the door. There was no reason to use pepper spray. There was no reason to beat people. And so if I had done any of the acts that those police officers did, I would be arrested. From an internal point of view, it's difficult to understand how all those officers on the scene, some of whom didn't stop their fellow officers from using excessive force, should not, at least from an administrative point of view, be put off the payroll, on administrative leave, and hopefully the district attorney will do his job
and hold those officers accountable to the full extent of the law.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Clifton Dixon.
Clifton.
Yeah.
Good evening, Chief.
Good evening.
I'm Clifton Dixon. I live on Manning Boulevard. And I want to thank you for having this morning.
You're welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I don't speak publicly often, but I wanted to speak because there's a number of things, there are other things that concern me about this incident. And I know people are talking specifically about the incident, the brutality that occurred, but I like to speak to what concerns me about why I think it occurred. And I know that people have touched on it, but I'm a little concerned about why the department and even sometimes the media and other people are not really addressing why so many people showed up. We know that the neighbors were complaining, and we know as Black people in our community there are some people that don't want us in certain neighborhoods. See, the mistake that I know that certain neighbors made in reporting was that they didn't want not just a party, but certain neighbors in their district. And I think we've lost the fact that even for former convicted people, they have rights too. And we have to protect everyone. The police are supposed to protect and serve everyone equally. And they came in like a gang of themselves. That video, the gentleman said, I'm going to get my ID, but I don't want you to come in and run through like you normally do. And that officer said, oh, yes, we are. With the intention that he was going to do whatever he wanted to do. That concerns me, Chief. Before the door was even answered, you heard the click of the crowd pepper spray. He was ready before there was even a concern to be armed with pepper spray. And it reminded me of like the South, of when they were going to run people out of town and send a message that this party, even though we heard no music, I saw 60 to 100 party goers. I didn't see cars, like the paper said, all over the place, of unruly people. Not party goers, I didn't see unruly. But we saw them send a very clear message. It seemed like to me, of y'all don't come back now. Yeah. That should not be what our police do. And now that we know that there was a falsified report, and we know that the brutality was not reported to you and it wasn't documented, you have to send a message to you that this won't be allowed in our city. There's a new sheriff, there's a new chief in town. This will not go on from this day forward. There's a new day. So we ask you, everyone here is asking you, all 11 officers, I wouldn't care if DA Soares is looking at you. If you have administrative control of this department, they need to be on leave tomorrow. Thank you. I'll give you a break. It's after 5 o'clock. Tomorrow. Why they do their investigation, why David Soares does his investigation. They need to be on leave while the investigation is going. It's taking too long. Administrative, on leave. They were there, they didn't report. If whoever was on that scene, if something happened in this thing, in here, we were all here, we all get charged. We're all culpable. They're all culpable. Administrative, you're in charge of administrative. They need to help administratively. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Tammy Hayner.
the chief.
Hi.
Met you earlier. I do have a couple things. The fact that you were forwarded a link and you weren't informed by your officers or your higher ups, that's a problem. You should have known immediately what was going on. You should have been informed immediately. That way you could have handled it from the beginning. Second, are your officers required to make a report if they're on the scene, they see something happening? Because I work at a residential facility, and we will get fired if we don't report our other employees, our workers, for not doing their job. And that is the problem, that your officers sat and watched something that happened, and they didn't feel the need that, well, I'm gonna get in trouble too, and I should be helping my fellow community and not helping my officer or somebody that's doing something completely wrong. And the other thing is, even if the DA doesn't file criminal charges, that is your agency. You need to fire them because they did wrong automatically. They automatically need to be reprimanded because they automatically broke that oath with you. They broke that oath with the community, and at that point, we don't trust them. And it doesn't matter what happens. The DA doesn't have that to you, whether it's criminal or not. You need to take ownership of the fact that those are your guys. And you got to be able to trust your men under you, and the community needs to be able to trust the men that are under you.
Thank you.
Your turn.
Okay, I've been anxious to talk for so long. I've been brought here to live stream this, kind of give you video. Everyone's saying video, body cams. We don't have answers. I know video, I know body cams. These things mean nothing if nobody cares. The problem is not just that a couple of cops are bad. The problem, and I can't believe no one touched on it, is fundamentally, you cannot give a man who has 1 or 2 years of training a gun, put him in the middle of the people who do not look like him. It fundamentally does not make sense. I hate to be crass here, but Caucasian police officers from suburban neighborhoods have zero business being in the They just don't understand. It's sort of like, I would not train you or you for 1 year and deploy you in Vietnam in the jungle. You had no idea how to handle yourself because it's a foreign environment. Of course you're going to go there apprehensive. Everything you see on TV is anti-black. Everything you see makes you angry. Your shooting parties at the shooting range are silhouette black images. There are systemic, fundamental things that are wrong with police, and it's been wrong since the beginning. There has never been a good police department. It's never made sense. You cannot counter civilian insubordinates with violence. The fundamental idea of what a police officer is wrong. I want to see cops in the neighborhood. You get a flat tire, I want to see the cop not harassing this guy for a hat, changing your tire. I want to see you in the neighborhood doing the job. If I saw you in Arbor Hill and I knew your face, granted the next time there's a party, I'm going to talk to you because I know you. I know you're not going to beat the shit out of someone. We need to know you. Put the officer, so to kind of like give you what I'm saying here, the change needs to be the whole idea of what a cop is and what the job is. Put them in the neighborhoods without weapons and do some good. That's all I
have. Victoria? Oh, you spoke earlier. I didn't realize that you had gone up. So we're going to go to the next person because we only have, I mean, we're already past our 7 o'clock. S. Sim, this says already spoke. You already, I don't know who that was. Brother Anthony Muhammad, you already spoke as well. I got 2 questions in here. You're going to have to hold on that because we're already past our 7 o'clock. We do have two more meetings after this. There's going to be opportunity to talk about what's going on, but I want to try to keep us in. You can have one follow-up. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, May. May had wanted to speak. She has not spoken, so let me just let her speak real quick. We do not have till 9 o'clock. I do not have the permit to use this. So, excuse excuse me. This meeting was set up from 5:30 to 7. We're now, ma'am, it's after 7 now. I don't, like, this is, people had put this time away. I want to make sure that we stay on track. May, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Okay.
Good evening.
Last name, Tool, first name is Miss May. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening.
I just want to say that, I think that what's really missing here is race relations. Like when I see these two white cops, I do have fear. And I think that a lot of African Americans have that fear.
Speak up a little.
It's been going on for so many years. Is it possible that, like, let's say for instance, that when you guys do your hiring, why don't you allow some people from the community, have them interact with people? Because when they go into different neighborhoods that they're not used to, like the guy said before, when they see images on TV of certain African American males, you know, their fear comes out. So I think that race relations is what's really missing here. And also too, if you could answer one question, do the police investigate themselves?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
I think that's a big problem, you guys, right there, the police investigate themselves, don't you?
No.
That's a huge problem right here, because if you already have the community not trusting the police department, hey, how you feeling? Like, you look good. But I'm just saying, if we already have a problem with mistrust with the police department, and then you investigate yourself, how do you further, you're gonna further that mistrust? Do you think that's right, you guys? You know what I'm saying? I don't think you should investigate yourself. That's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so these are the questions that I have in the cards. The first question is, what kind of training education is provided to officers, and how often? Right after I do these comments, it's a short question about district attorney. Okay. That nobody can answer. So what kind of training education?
A couple of sessions on just that, how to empathize with some of the people that they're dealing with. Some of the things with dealing with people who have mental illness and substance abuse and some other challenges like that. So they get those sorts of trainings now, and they get them, like I said, in a couple of different blocks in the academy.
And the last part was a post-incident review.
And they always, all of the first line supervisors and the second layer, our lieutenants as well, go over these whenever there are incidents like this with the officers. In fact, this latest one, it's part of roll call training for officers right now. And so anything like this that could impact officers' job performance and that could help enhance their skills, they always get that sort of post-incident type of debrief.
Okay, the next question is, aside from the March 16th incident, have you received any police complaints since? I don't know if you can answer that, but.
Yes.
Next question, what training in de-escalation do officers get? How do the police work with other city departments about problematic addresses like the First Street Party House?
And right now, some opportunities we see right now are working with other city departments in order to deal with these issues before they become police incidents. You know, if we have a problem place where there are multiple calls for service because of nuisance complaints and things like that, then we should really be partnering with other city departments in order to address the core issue so that it doesn't become an issue that police officers have to deal with.
What are you going to do to gain the community's trust back? How/why can this community, or should this community, trust your force?
We've demonstrated that we hold our officers accountable. We demonstrate also that we train our officers, we support our officers when they're doing the right things for the right reasons. And forums like this, coming out and listening, you know, there's been a lot of things that I needed to hear as police chief at this meeting. And just being present and having you all here to share those things is, if there is a lack of trust, then this is the beginning of rebuilding that trust. And so I think forums like this are instrumental in that.
So those are the questions I have. There were 3 people who had already spoken and would like to speak again. We're going to limit it down to 2 minutes. The chief still needs to do his summary at the end. and we're already past our 7 o'clock deadline, so please keep it to your 2 minutes.
I got a question for you. Who assigned you your job? How did you get your job?
Appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the common council.
Okay, like me, I'm a housekeeper. But sometimes my supervisor may want a way to get me out of my job. They may start writing me up, giving me write-ups and terminate me. We feel like because you came and you started a little bit of justice around here, a little bit, like they said, you only got 3, you need to get more. But just by you starting that one bit, they're gonna start working on getting you out of office. They're starting right now on how to get you out of the office because, like they said, throughout the years, this police station been just what it is, brutality. And we finally, after all the chiefs that we had from 70, 80, 90, 2000, we finally got one to put his foot down. So they're gonna try to get you out of that office. And I want to know what you got on hand to stick around to help us out. Another thing, who is the district attorney taking over? David Source? I don't know too much about history. If you go back, I believe he had a problem with the police station. That's why he ran for something. Him and D'Angelo. He didn't like the police, and they didn't like him either. Then he ran. So I feel like this is like the Trump and the Mueller thing. We need a special investigator. We don't need him. That's my point.
Thank you.
Sims?
It's all about them coming for your job. They told me you don't want to be around for me. It was making a big deal about you going home on the weekend because you understand Kobe has no place to party. You see how he treats us? No place. We have no place to party. No place. So that's why you see a illegal place because not one black man has a bigger license than people. All right. That's what it's done.
So I'd just like to follow up that point, right? And I said to anyone that's speaking up to any injustice in our community, whether they white, black, or green, we should be supporting it. Because that's the critical piece right there, is that when people support the truth, there's no support for them. So you're putting yourself on an island all by yourself. So, we talk on the record and off the record. When I mean we talk in front of people and when people are not here, right?
Yes.
And I'm very, when I went to the press conference, you said, when you see this video, it's gonna be problems. And when I saw the video, I called you and told you that we're gonna make some noise about it. But the flip side of making noise is that we gotta support the people that are holding people accountable. And I think that, and I just hope that the whole message was heard today is that, you know what, yes, you did something that we haven't seen ever. That's right. But it's a whole lot more to be done because the video says everything. The door was kicked in, people were kicked, people were hit, people were verbally requested to stop doing something, and none of it was reported. So it's a bunch of fundamental errors in this whole equation, and it's taking too long. It's like, when we're wrong, justice happens swiftly and fast. But when it's done wrong to us, it's a whole bunch of stops and checkpoints that don't exist on the reverse side. So I told you personally that I'm gonna make sure that if they try to come for you, we're gonna make some noise about that as well. There's still a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of pain in this room. There's a lot of disappointment in this room. And I'm grateful to hear that Tracy Grady's name was mentioned tonight, because that's something, Chief, that's not gonna go away. We got somebody sitting in jail for 70-something years because he protected himself. And the point that somebody made about the discipline that the young men show, Because my prayer for my own self, and I shared it with my brothers, is I hope that I'm never in that situation where it's happening to me or somebody that I love for, because that's going to be hard. That takes a lot of guts not to do nothing.
And then we're gonna wrap this up.
The state troopers that work in the community, I don't know if they work in the summer, are they compelled to wear a body cam? Like the same thing that the Albany officers have?
I don't know their policy, sir.
But they're right with the Albany police.
Correct.
The reason why I ask, because not the past Friday, but the Friday before, I seen what I call a violent, I don't know, is Lorraine here? I don't know if you got the report, but a young lady was pulled out of her car violently by a state trooper. And she was a passenger, and it was only for turning on without a signal. Her husband was taken out the car, put in handcuffs. About 6 or 7 police officers responded in cars. I don't know if it was only for a ticket. She was violently took out. So, if you can check into that. Another thing you mentioned is about David Soares. And I say this, Chief, that a curveball was thrown to you when you first came in the city in regards to the Elazar Williams. All right? And, of course, you're a smart man. You didn't get where you are because you don't know what you're doing. But, of course, you should have been recognized that it was a curveball. We had a program, and we say that was strike one for you. But you hit a fastball this time, we said, because you have video. You understand what I'm saying? And, was the video going to get out anyway because the young lady had it? I don't know. But the point I'm making is that, as Brother Clifton Dixon he said it quite elegantly, we need a full and complete justice here. We don't want the chief thinking that he threw us a little bit of justice, and then we let the other ones off. And once again, you have a big job ahead of you. Do what you can. All right, that's all we're asking is for transparency, gaining trust from you, and giving these 3 victims some justice. Less the video, they're on their way to prison. All right, that's what we're asking for.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm now going to turn this over to the chief to have a last word, and then we're just going to talk about the upcoming meetings. Okay?
All right, thank you. And I first want to thank Danielle and Zach and Jonathan for coordinating this and coming up with the vision to have this forum. As I told them when they talked to me a couple of weeks back, the timing was right. The vision, I think, was right, and the purpose. And so I thank you all for taking the time to put this together. And members of the community who came out, I appreciate sharing because we really needed to hear that. But before I get to that, I also want to thank some of the Common Council members who took the time to come out here. Derek Johnson here, we got Jamel, it's here, and Corey's in the back. So we appreciate. So Councilman Robinson and Common Council President Nellis are both here. So we appreciate all you guys are doing in the community and all you're doing to support peace in the community. And also we've got members of Backpack who are here, and we appreciate all that you all are doing for this community, and also these officers that are here also. And just for the record, these 2 officers to my left, when we came in the building, first thing they asked me was, where do you want me? Where do you want me, Chief? Wherever you want me to stand, wherever you want me to go, that's where we'll go. And we had some conversations with the organizers, and we thought that it would be best for them to kind of hang out on the periphery. And so So that's the reason why they were where they were. It was not because they were reluctant to be in front of the members of this community, or they were not reluctant to support the police department itself. And so I commend these officers for what they do. And obviously, Will is doing a great job in this community as well and gaining trust. And so this has been very, very much needed for me. When I was invited to this, one of the things I wanted to get out of this was to hear the emotions from the people in this community about this incident. You know, as a police chief, when I see this type of stuff, you know, I'm looking at it from an executive type of way. Okay, what are the rights of officers? What do the union contracts say? What does the law say? And you know, what's best for this? And a lot of times I don't hear, as the chief, the impact, raw and unfiltered, that incidents have on members of our community. And I needed to hear that. And that's why when I was invited, I told them right away, there was no hesitation whatsoever that I wanted to be involved in this. And so I just jotted down, just for myself, some of the emotions that I took from this meeting. You know, and I jotted down fear, justice, anger. Young lady back there says she's a peacemaker. She's a collaborator. We've got hope, a desire for more involvement from the police officers in this community. A lot of times when we hear about stuff, when we hear about friction and tension in a community, we forget that really what our community wants is more involvement, substantive involvement, genuine involvement of our officers with the members of the community. And you know, and I'm hearing that. Confusion. I'm hearing disappointment. And so as we move to these next two meetings that we're going to have, I really look forward to getting into some of these emotions and now figuring out how we can take the emotion of this and help us to really and truly move forward. There's some opportunities. There's some opportunities to build some trust. We all want the same thing. No matter what people feel about the police, we all want the same thing. We want safer communities. We want to feel like we're valued. We want opportunities. And that's what I'm looking forward to in our next two meetings. Thank you all for your time, and God bless.
Thank you, Chief. So thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for taking the time to speak up and speak out. There are two additional meetings that are set up. The next one is on Tuesday, May 7th. It's also going to be here. Hopefully we'll have the PA set up. That meeting is to talk about solutions moving forward. After that, we're going, and actually Al is donating some snacks. So, you know, that's always a plus. The meeting after that is on May 20th. That's to discuss how we implement the plan that we have made on the 7th. I encourage you guys to take the time between today and the 7th meeting to really think about what you've heard today. Think about the possibilities and the options, and bring back some solutions and some suggestions. There are flyers on the front meeting, or the flyers on the front table for the next meeting. Please grab them, please distribute them. There's a block at a time that is on Facebook. Like it, share. There's also an opportunity to submit questions as a question at abatt.org. Thank you guys for all coming.